Next, broccoli. There's two different broccolis that I was going to mention. So, first of all, I know which one Dale wants to talk about. So, I'm going to talk about the one that I want to talk about first. I I love growing purple broccoli. I know I feel like you guys are probably sensing a theme here with all of the things that I grow, but I like for things to be pretty too, because it's almost like my flowers too, because I'm like growing purple broccoli. It looks just as beautiful to flowers to me sometimes, and it I can eat it also. So it's amazing to have like different colors and it I love it. I'm super excited. We are going to be growing a lot of this coming up soon.
I will say one of the purple ones is better suited for the fall, but I can't remember off the top of my head
It's
which
not
one it
this
is.
one. It was the other purple one. I
It was
don't
the other
remember what
purple one.
it was. The other purple one, yeah.
Well, Carrie knows what I'm going to suggest is my favorite.
Yep.
There's two different ones, really. There's Asperbrock and Artwork, and they're both at the top of the list, making them easy to find. They're very similar, but the point is they make a bunch of these. So instead of thinking about broccoli as though you're trying to harvest like this giant head of broccoli, instead, you're growing these. And it may form like one head of broccoli initially, and then you harvest it, then it makes a bunch of side shoots. Although some of these produce side shoots pretty much from the beginning. It's a little different for all of them, but I'm a big fan of those types of broccoli because the first couple years that we grew, we had broccoli that was Walton 29, I believe. Yep, this right here, where it produces the large broccoli heads. And they were doing so good. And I was so excited. And I was like blogging about it and making YouTube videos about it because we had just started this whole thing. And then out of nowhere, this hailstorm destroyed all of them. And I was so devastated because I was so excited to harvest some broccoli. And and long story short, what I learned from that was that the entire broccoli plant is edible because I had like this completely destroyed broccoli plant and I posted like on a Facebook group about it or something. And someone told me, well, why don't you just cook all that stuff then? I was like, what? You can do that? And I immediately did that. We gathered up all this was like at 10 o'clock and it was like a freak storm at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Do you remember that, Carrie? I think we had
Yeah.
pictures of it
Yeah.
still.
It's
It
crazy.
was like a really big hailstorm. So like 10, 11 o'clock at night, we got all these broccoli remains and we like brought them into the kitchen and we chopped them up and stirred them, like stir fried them for a little bit. And when we tasted it, we realized, oh my gosh, this tastes exactly like the inside of an egg roll. And that was kind of like the moment for us where we realized, okay, we're going to think about broccoli different. So instead of thinking about we have to grow like this giant broccoli head that we have to wait on and try and protect from insects and hail and everything else that Oklahoma wants to throw at it, instead, we grow more of these. And not only are these easier to grow, you get faster harvest times off of them. I think the flavor is better. It almost has like a buttery flavor. I'm always adding butter to it anyways too, but
Well, I
it
like
kind of
eating
naturally
raw.
adds. Yeah, it's so good. I'm a big fan of these. The other ones are good too, but if you live in a tough place to grow like we do, like these hybrid broccolis are where it's at.
Yeah.
As far as pests are concerned, same thing I mentioned with kale. You will have the exact same little green worms and little white moss flying around, and you handle them the exact same way. Don't plant your broccoli next to your cabbage or your kale because they're all in the same family and they all attract that same moth. So try and separate them out around the garden because if you have them like all together, then they're going to get decimated a lot faster than if they've got to like find them spread out, all around your garden. That's why we're mixing stuff all around and we're using these companions here to help guide kind of what we're planting around it. And also I want to mention in our grid builder, if you're mapping your garden in here, we did a good job on this garden. There's no issues. But if there is Carrie, do you know if you have a companion issue in one of these beds already? Here, I'll just come in
I
here.
do somewhere.
I know one off the top of my head. So I know peas and garlic don't get along. So we're going to put those next to each other. And I'm going to show you what happens. So if I tried to grow garlic and put it next to my peas, shows that little X right there. And then that means it's a bad companion. We just pushed out an update that shows that label again, that shows like up above here that's a bad companion. I'm on an older update. But that little X right there, that's what that means. So that's how you can prevent yourself from planting things next to each other that shouldn't go next to each other.
So Michelle C was asking, do we start our Asperbrock indoors now? So we will be, when's the date? I think it's later this month. We're
It's
going to
pretty much
be,
now. I think we're pretty close.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, oh,
Right
yeah.
now, we're in the window.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.